Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Dutton, editor-in-chief.
Austin Souther, staff writer.
And we're roughing it here in LA, in Los Angeles, for Summer Game Fest.
The city that never sleeps.
That's the other one.
And we haven't gotten any either.
We haven't gotten any sleep either.
No sleep at all.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of things. We just did 3 days of play days. Thanks to Jeff Keighley. We also saw like IGN Live and stuff. We've seen a lot of video games over the past 72 hours.
Has it really been that short of a time?
Yeah.
Dude, you're going to make me eat that thing.
you got to talk into the mic. Yeah.
All right.
Share it.
I'm an amateur at this, so forgive me, people. I forgot what I was saying, though.
It's only been 72 hours.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a lot longer, actually.
It really has. If you are interested in any of our coverage, we've already put up some pretty cool videos and written up previews, right? We've got Assassin's Creed Shadows on our YouTube channel. We've got some B-roll that's pretty cool. And then also a written up piece. We've got the Dragon Age of the Veilguard. Andrew got to see some behind closed doors stuff there that he could write about, so you can check it out on our site. But one thing we want to dive into here and kick off the show with, Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, so I got to see or play about an hour of Star Wars Outlaws, and it was, to my surprise, entirely different than what they showed at the forward. Not a single bit of what I saw was at the forward, and vice versa. So all that was new information to me too from the forward. But it was 3 separate missions. I do have a write-up, and there's a video on the site, but it was went through some exploration stuff that felt very Uncharted-like to me, very familiar. I'd say even your God of War exploration is the same as Outlaws. Like any of these big AAA action games, all kind of explore the same now. You know what I mean? Like the PlayStation style. Like Horizon is even the same in a way, except you can fly, float around and stuff. But it's gorgeous. Like the main thing that I want to see the world fleshed out, and it looks phenomenal.
Yeah. You said that there's one that's like the casino planet.
Well, they say you're going to see it because the main character Kay Vess, she's from Canto Blight, which is the casino planet. It's called Cantonica now, I think. Canto Blight's its old name. Anyway, lore stuff. But that's where she's from. So she was part of the worker sector. So not the glitz and glam that we saw in the movie. She was from all the poor people that have to work for those rich people. That's where she comes from. So learning to swindle her way to living is kind of how she's always lived life. So now she's all in the world of scum and villainy that they've promised us so much in Star Wars, but we never see. Now we're finally get to see it, and it looks really cool. That's mostly what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like a good Jedi story, because I love the Star Wars Jedi series, but it's nice to see something else from Star Wars.
Not everything is a desert planet this time, though we do have a few.
Can't be Star Wars without a desert planet.
That's true. And I guess adding on to what you said, I didn't get to see the game, but we did get a different look, completely different, at the Ubisoft showcase of a couple other planets and gameplay, and that looked great, but I am immensely jealous that you were able to actually play the game.
Yeah, I think there was a line that you told us in the past 72 hours. It's all a blur. But something like, it's been cool that we've seen a bunch of Jedi stories, but now we're getting a Scoundrel story.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stories where we can be a Luke Skywalker stand-in, but now we can finally be Han Solo in a game. Because I think that's what people were so excited for, Star Wars 1313. It was finally. And that was bounty hunter based. So it wasn't necessarily a Scoundrel in that one. But you're encountering bounty hunters in this. If you want to learn more about the gunplay and stuff, you can check out the video and the write-up on that for kind of how it plays. But in terms of the worlds, we do go back to Tatooine because obviously Jabba the Hutt's in it. You deal with the Hutts because you deal with several different syndicates, like the Pike Syndicate, which is known. I can't remember the name of the one that's on Kijimi, but Kijimi is that one planet from The Rise of Skywalker. That's that snow planet where Babu Freak's from. So I'm assuming whatever Babu Freak is, I do not know what the name of that race is. They will be there. So if you love Babu Freak, I'm sure you'll see him or some representation of him. But it looked phenomenal. I couldn't explore the cities too much because I think they just wanted you to get through this demo.
Right.
It was obvious that I could. In a full game, I'm very likely you could just run around these big open world spots. But it seems to be delivering on the promise of like a truly open world Star Wars experience where it's in the world of Star Wars and not like the high politics of like the Jedi. Because like I said, I do enjoy those stories, but it's like now we get to see like, oh, what does like a regular person or someone trying to get by do in the Star Wars universe? Because so many sci-fi stories were just about being pristine and like perfect, like Star Trek, everything's so clean and crisp and whatever. And Star Wars, everything's so grimy and shitty
Yeah.
and like dirty. And that's part of what was so nice. But I was like, oh, it's like that's probably more realistic if we were in a future society. There's a bunch of people having to scavenge a bunch of bullshit. Like Rey, that's her initial how she lived. Stuff like that. So I'm super pumped for it. There's like I said, it's a lot of generic AAA action adventure stuff, but if it's got a good set dressing of Star Wars, I'm all for it.
Oh, for sure.
Gotta say this, I'm actually personally excited to get on the bad side of the Pike Syndicate because they came from Boba Fett and that show sucked, really bad. So I have
Sold me.
I have a vendetta against them and I will destroy their entire organization if I can.
So I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan of the three of us here, but I want to ask you two a question about it. Last time I remember a Star Wars story starring a not Jedi, it was Kyle Katarn in Dark Forces, who then eventually became a Jedi because turns out playing a not Jedi is boring and sucks. What are you gonna feel like if story happens to go in that direction?
Having already played this, playing KVS doesn't suck. So she doesn't need forced powers. However, one thing I did call out in a video and what I wrote up is that the like parkouring and stuff is definitely not as cool as Jedi because I don't have force powers and stuff to go around.
You're just a Nathan Drake.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't get more cool stuff because like her blaster can do a bunch of different things. She can pick up all kinds of weapons and do stuff. I think that there will be enough there. I really hope they don't go the whole like, oh yeah, you're actually in tune with the Force.
Secretly Force sensitive.
Because that I think would upset people. And I don't want to be the exact same problem I have with the sequel series in general with what they did with Rey, but I hope not. But I mean, like, we've seen in compelling stories, not necessarily games, but Andor is not about Jedi or Force people doing cool shit. So
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best Star Wars games, in my opinion, are Battlefront and like Republic Commando and stuff. And you're just like you're a soldier, you're not a Jedi or anything.
Right.
Especially in Battlefront, you're a clone or a battle droid or whatever.
That's true.
And I think Star Wars has enough going for it that it's still fun even without having to be a Jedi. And I definitely welcome the change. And like you said, I really hope they don't go the Force route because that would just be lame. And we've seen it so many times before. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there was like there was something in the Jedi Survivor series in the second game where I was like, okay, actually that's a neat little twist on Force related stuff, that
So, and I think, I mean, like, it's a funny question because it's just Star Wars, but it's like third-person shooters exist that are fun.
yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So, like, it can be done.
Yes.
We don't need the Force.
I look at it from the outside in. I look at it as like a Dragon Ball fan, right? Where it's like,
if I can't Kamehameha, you get this fucking thing out of here.
If you're not a Saiyan, what's the point?
Yeah, if I'm
right?
not exactly.
Yeah, and it's
I get what you mean.
Like Star Wars can sometimes have that problem. Like if you're not the super cool sword laser knight people, what's the point?
So many people don't want to be that too. I mean, people want to be the Han Solo type, and like from the cutscenes and KVS's like interaction with people, she's definitely like the little smarmy, like, yeah, I got my shit figured out. Like, I'll get what I need.
Nice.
So it's very cool. We have more information on the site, the write-up and a video about it if you want to learn more. And it comes out soon, end of August. August 30th,
Yep.
Is that what it was? Something like that?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, August 30th.
Yep.
Very soon.
Let's talk about something that we'll not see anytime soon.
Oh.
Austin, you and I saw Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen a lot of Monster Hunter Wilds publicly. Like there were just 2 trailers in the last week, I want to say, right? That just came out from the different showcases. I think PlayStation had one too. But you and I saw some footage that we cannot share, nor, to my understanding, will be made public anytime soon.
Yes.
But I'm stoked.
But we can't talk about it.
We can talk about it because it's rad. Exciting.
And it's not just like cinematic stuff. It is like literally actually gameplay, going out and finding a monster, fighting it. And it is some next level shit.
Yeah, this does feel like the next generation of Monster Hunter, and I feel like people might have thought that with Monster Hunter World when that came out, and this feels like even one step beyond that. It feels like a more direct sequel to World than it does to Rise. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think going off of that sequel part, there are a lot of characters from 4U, the game Monster Hunter
Oh,
4U.
really?
And a lot of people are speculating that this is a sequel to that because you have like the blacksmith grown up and all that. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess that's besides the point. Like, I don't think you need to have played any Dragon, or not Dragon.
Dragon
I was
Quest.
about to say Dragon Age.
Hmm.
You don't have to play any Monster Hunter to like this
No,
one, I'm sure.
no, I don't think of Monster Hunter as like last time on Monster Hunter, the hunter died and did this. Like, no,
Yeah.
Wait,
Um,
there's no Goku in Monster Hunter?
no. I'm trying to think if they've ever done a Dragon Ball collab. I don't think they.
No, no, they
hmm.
don't have a Goku. But
No,
this is
there's no
like made
Goku.
by this is a Japanese thing, right?
No,
I thought all Japanese media
take the
had
mic away from him.
had a Goku.
Don't let him talk.
This is an interesting dynamic. I'm kind of a fan.
Don't they have Goku in it?
Yeah.
Enough about Goku.
Talk about the open world part of it.
Yeah, so actually, I was going to mention that there's, in previous Monster Hunter games, there's loading screens and loading screens, but here you can seamlessly walk right into the world from the base camp, and the world is actually enormous. And I think there's going to be a few zones, but this one in
Yeah.
particular was like very impressive, and like I said, no loading screens at all.
Yeah, they said it's roughly 2.5 times the size of their average Monster Hunter playground, essentially. So that's why they give you the sacred. Is that what they call them?
They're basically the flies from Monster Hunter World, right? The
No, no,
or
I'm talking like
oh, the bird.
the
Oh
totally
yeah,
not
yeah,
chocobo
yeah, yeah,
things. They're basically chocobos.
yeah, yeah.
But
Legally distinctive.
they're legally
Chocobo.
distinct chocobos.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
but yeah,
Cool music.
No,
no. But there's cool music in the game.
yeah, it's
But
actually very cool.
yeah, but the Sacreds, I feel like they run about as fast as the Palamutes from Rise, if not faster.
Yeah,
But I'm really excited for them because they offer this thing where it sounds so like lame if you don't know what Monster Hunter is like, but you can now have two weapons because your Sacred carries the other one. So while you're on Sacred back, you can swap weapons. And so you might have seen it in the one of those trailers, I think the PlayStation one, where the hunter started out with like a sword and then swapped over to the heavy bow gun, and then you can just shoot it from Sacred back, mount back, right? So that
yeah,
was really cool to see because you've got all of these like organic chase sequences that can go on,
yeah,
right? Where the monster is just on the run, and instead of like you having to catch up to it with your scout flies, you can now just call your sacred, chase after it, unload a bunch of heavy bowgun ammo into it, and just like keep up the pressure,
yeah.
which is really exciting.
Let's talk about that chase sequence because that was very intense for a monster fight, especially if it's like one of the lower leveled monsters. You like run out into the desert and you can just find these monsters roaming around and you can go ahead and attack it. You don't have to pick a specific quest to actually kill it. It'll give you the quest if you find the monster. And this one in particular, I can't remember the name, but it had a
It was
bunch of
the
like
Doshaguma, I think.
yeah, he had like lesser Doshagumas following him around. So the intent was to why is that
That's a funny name.
It's a funny name for sure.
all right,
Doshaguma.
Doshiguma, and this was like a much bigger one, and the intent was to separate it from the pack, and that's when shit hit the fan.
Yeah. I mean, it feels so. I mean, it's always been part of Monster Hunter, right? Where you can kind of use the other monsters in the environment to your advantage.
Yeah,
But here it felt, I don't know, a lot more visceral because what they did was they started by attacking the Alpha Doshiguma. So I think for that, it's like they open the map. You can see where the monster is on the map, hit it, and be like, you've started like the quest is now active.
yeah,
Then you hit it, and that's when it starts the quest. And you start hitting it, and then the little Toshigumas are now ready to fight you too, and they're all bigger than you and your sacred.
they are quite big.
So we led them, or I guess the director, right, led them to the desert area and knew where a sand trap was
Mhm.
and led them straight to the sand trap. And the Sacred is fast enough to run out of. It's like that sand dune thing that like or the
Yep. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the Diablos in Monster Hunter Wild or World,
yeah.
um,
Mhm.
in the big desert area where he had just you can fall in. Yeah.
So they activated that, and then all the lesser Doshagumas fall through, but the alpha is strong enough to claw its
Yeah.
way out, and so is your Sacred. So now that's like a really organic way to use another monster's trap
Yeah.
to help yourself.
Yeah, we should state that those lesser Doshagumas were eaten by another monster, apparently. We just couldn't really see them all that well, but that's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's a bigger fish.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Can we talk about the storm? The storm was fucking cool.
That is what impressed me the most, probably. It just adds a whole new level to the hunt.
Yeah, because you see like the sandstorm start approaching you. Like it's while being chased by the Doshiguma, right? That's what's happening. The storm just like catches up to it and like overtakes you. And so when you're in it, it's like this blue filter, and then lightning is just striking everywhere. Both you and the animals are free game for it. But then it brings out different flora and fauna, and the apex predator of the map
Hmm.
lives in the storm. So the director got ballsy and tried to activate the apex predator. I don't remember the name of it, but
It was shown off in a recent trailer if you want to
yeah,
know what it looks
it's like that lightning bird thing, and ended up getting one shot.
Yeah, he got sniped. Like that thing just shot a beam and he is down.
Yeah. But that was really cool to see. Just
Yeah.
the effects of it are fantastic and so flashy.
Yeah, it's gonna like melt your freaking graphics card.
Maybe,
But
I mean,
but what's cool is that after the storm passes, everything is in this fertile period or
I think they call it like a period of plenty, period
yeah.
of abundance.
Yeah, and in this period, you can find more materials for a limited time. Everything looks brighter and nicer. Still fighting a monster at this point, I think.
Yes.
And it's around that time the person doing the demo, I think he was the director of Monster Hunter, he called in NPC allies, which I think is new to this game. I could be wrong, but I don't remember ever being able to call NPC hunters.
Yeah, I couldn't say for sure because I mostly played Rise solo.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool that you can
Yeah.
do that. And after defeating the monster, you get that 60 seconds to like carve it and do whatever you need. But after the 60 seconds are over, you don't have to return back to camp, right? You can just say, I want to keep exploring. And I think you could do that in Rise too, but at the end of the day, you still have to unload from that map to get home.
Yep.
So it's kind of nice that this feels a little more like open world-ish, adjacent.
Yeah. And I think we even came across like a village outside of the main hub of that area where there were just people like living their life. So it feels more like a living world. And I guess on that note, in this period of plenty, they made a specific mention of like seeing these specific wildlife that would come out during like after the storm. So we zoomed in on a tree and you could see like a bunch of birds flying around, and apparently you can watch these birds feed their young and the young will grow up and stuff.
And then you can hunt them.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
That we know of.
Well,
but yeah, overall, this feels like the next leap forward in Monster Hunter, and I'm so glad that I'm finally able to understand Monster Hunter and am on board day one for this.
Yeah.
Still 2025, still no release window besides a year, so
looks like it's coming along well, so the wait will be worth it.
yeah, will very much be worth it. Okay, let's jump into another Japanese game we saw from Sega and Atlas. We spent a lot of time.
Which one's Goku?
All right, you know what?
All Japanese media has a Goku.
Your mic privileges are done.
Well, okay, so we saw Metaphor ReFantazio, better known as Persona
6. Persona 6.
It's not Persona 6. So
It could be.
It's
a prequel Persona.
I don't know if it's that either.
It's Persona adjacent, at least.
It's very Persona. Yeah, you were hands-on. You were playing it. I was just watching and taking notes.
Yes, I was. I will say I did not do one part of the demo that was for beginners because I made a
Wait,
mistake.
no, bitch. Oh.
But what? Yeah, I guess I ain't no bitch. You're right. You're right.
It took me a second to realize that you were
I thought he was calling me a bitch.
That's normally what's happening. So
Well,
I don't
yeah,
blame you.
you know. So I just kind of dove right into it, and basically you start out in a dungeon, and you're supposed to take down this necromancer. And immediately I recognized it felt like, dungeon crawling in Persona 3 in Tartarus, or, one of the
Mementos.
yeah, just
Palaces.
palaces. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Palaces, in that they control the same way. You see enemies in the overworld and you can hit them. But it's a little different here because weaker enemies you can just slash away and you don't have to engage in a turn-based battle unless you want to. It's much more effective just to slash them. And then you have these bigger enemies that you can like stun if you hit them enough, and then have an advantage in an open world battle or in a turn-based battle. So it feels a bit more like I don't know. It's like action-y kind of, a nice little twist on the genre,
Yeah.
but definitely still retains that Persona feel to it, especially in the turn-based gameplay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot where, as someone who's a big fan of Persona, when I was watching it, I was
Really, I
like,
didn't know.
yeah, I was watching it and I was like, there's a lot here where they had to come up with a different name for the same thing because it can't be Persona, but it
Yeah.
pretty much is.
Well, I did notice the buffs, like the
those are
stat
the
buffs,
same.
still have the same name, but
But-
like elemental.
Those were different.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elements were different. Instead of personas, it's archetypes, right? None of them are good. Well, there's like a brawler and like a monk.
I'm not asking about Goku.
Okay. I just it's been twice now. It's the only time you reach for the mic. But
No, I would say even like the like UI and how that is. I mean, the Persona UI is phenomenal,
Yes.
but like it's basically the same. Right, and had that quick moving through menus and making it flashy and
Yeah.
making it seem as seem as though it's not turn based as much as possible.
yeah, like aesthetically it's different, right?
Yeah.
But
Sure, like, I'm sure the coloring, like certain looks, but the
right, but it's always in motion. There's always some kind
looks really good though.
of fun graphics going on.
Yeah, and I mean the combat is also just equally flashy.
Yep.
And I guess in terms of combat, yeah, you have your standard spells. There's also like a synergy type of thing where you can combine your attacks together or use another ally in your group to do like a more powerful attack. You also have like a resource that on top of mana and health, you have like turn icons, they're called.
Yep.
Basically, it just tells you how many turns you have, and some attacks take up more than one turn icon. So it's kind of like a dance between finding out how you can gain the most out of the turn icons you have,
Right.
and dealing the most damage. And like if you exploit an enemy's weakness, then you get like an extra turn icon.
It's not quite that.
Or a little bit more, but if you exploit it, which you definitely want to do, you can kind of keep the battle going.
Yeah, the way it works from what I was noticing is you have the 4 turn icons, and then if you exploit a weakness, the turn icon you would have used gets like supercharged, and you can use it again.
Yeah.
So that's how they limit it from you can't just unlimited,
Yeah.
do it. Like every turn icon can theoretically be used twice. You just have to use the turn icon for a weakness. I would assume criticals would do it, but that's just assuming from Persona. So
Yeah. I don't know if I got any critical. I maybe got one critical. RNG though.
yeah, it was hard to really notice it.
Yeah.
But
You know how.
yeah.
There's a lot of information going on at the time, so it's hard to notice everything going on. But
Yeah, but overall, I mean, we'll have a separate video, I think, of Metaphor ReFantazio. We will try to
Will we?
at least. But
There's an article up.
yeah, there is an article up. You can also hear about this boss battle that we took, and like a bit about like how the daily life of your character goes.
yeah,
Because there is that like time element, like Persona and like social stats and stuff. They're not called social stats, but they very much are.
yeah, it's 5 royal somethings, I think is what it's called. And instead of social links, it's bonds.
Broke up the thesaurus.
They did.
I'm not complaining though, because like Persona's already great.
Yep.
And this is doing a little bit something different, but at the same time retaining that same Persona feel.
Mhm.
Like we're eating good.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited for it. At Sega too, we also saw two other things at different times. You saw Super Monkey Ball. How is it? Is it ballin'?
It's more monkey ball, and
Baller, dude.
it is baller, man. And yeah, so this one's a bit interesting because it's the first Monkey Ball like mainline entry in quite a few years. I think they did a remake recently, but this is like,
Super Monkey Ball Rumble?
yes, that is the name. I am remembering it now.
Definitely saw it.
Yes.
No, I did see it.
We're definitely in Los Angeles.
Yeah. The city.
Or are we?
Yes.
Yeah, so 16 players can actually play this one in some like party-oriented modes, which I found pretty cool because like already when I remember playing the first Monkey Ball on the GameCube, it's a bit chaotic with your friends. Throw in 16 people and there's a lot of balls. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, you were making a joke.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I tried. And I cackled like a witch or a goblin or something. Yeah, so I found that to be pretty cool because like you can play online, I think, and there's like a race mode and like you can gather up the most bananas in these nice, cool, smaller arena type environments. The only problem I guess I have with it is that on the Switch it kind of chugs, so maybe keep that in mind. But I also played some of the campaign. And hey, if you like Monkey Ball, if you like speedrunning, this is your jam. Like,
Hell yeah.
it took me back to, I don't know, 2002 or whatever, whenever it came out. And I was kind of addicted, but I had to move on. So, yeah, I might be checking out the campaign at some point, and I would suggest it.
Nice. Yeah, I was also speedrunning and brought back to the year 2000s-ish when I played I played Sonic X Shadow Generations. I had the option to play two Sonic levels, which were both the Green Hill Zone ones, like side-scrolling and then 3D, and then two Shadow levels, I guess. One of them was a full-fledged level. The other one was a boss battle, and both of them brought me back to playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on my GameCube with Crush 40 playing all the time. Because, like, my only note for real in this notebook, my only note for Sonic or Shadow Generations is butt rock intensifies. That's all I wrote down. Otherwise, it feels very much like those older adventure games.
Does Shadow shoot people?
You can shoot out an energy blast. It's not a gun, but the main enemy from Shadow the Hedgehog is your enemy in it.
Sweet.
It's actually kind of cool because they show up. It's called Doom's Hand, I think. Doom's Gate, maybe. Doom something. And it psychedelics the level where it breaks apart and it's very like Doctor Strange, very Multiverse of Madness, or like that one
Rift
segment.
apart, kind of like Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, where things just get all really psychedelic. So you're like kind of running across like buildings that are breaking and
Shadow's on drugs now.
kind of.
He moved on from guns.
Yeah, now he's on drugs. The Edge.
Guns are a gateway to drugs.
Yes, that's true. So yeah, it was interesting to see that because I was like unexpected for a Sonic game for it to go in that like psychedelic direction
Oh,
necessarily.
you mean something interesting? Yeah, that is unusual for a Sonic game.
Yes, yeah.
Well, like, is anything really unusual for Sonic?
Yes.
Yeah, good things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. No, he's not wrong.
Yeah, but no, I was pleasantly surprised with that Shadow level. It felt pretty meaty and just like there was like it was long, you know, it was like maybe 5-6 minutes to get through it. I was like exploring around a bit because there were like multiple pathways and stuff, but otherwise, I think it's still like you have to be Sonic Pill to enjoy it. Probably you have to enjoy if you liked Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2, you're in. You're in for this.
May God help your soul.
I mean, I enjoyed those games as a kid, personally.
Yeah, when you were a child.
Yeah.
Okay, for children.
I mean, I enjoy it now too, as an adult.
Yeah, we're all children.
Is that why you were allowed to play Phantom
We're
Blade Zero?
all God's children. Have you heard of my?
That was the worst pivot. Like so unnatural. That. But I admire your
No, I'm
Your
really glad
attempt.
you not only took the mic away from the person who could carry on the pivot.
I want to tell you about our Lord and Savior, Phantom Blade Zero.
Yeah.
PBZ, as I call it. We got DBZ, now we got PBZ.
Last time on PBZ.
So I played about 20 minutes of it, like 3 fights, ending with that one boss battle. Was it the first trailer? You think he said? I'd have to go back and watch that first announced trailer. I fought that boss. It is super flashy, super fun. It's people. I think just because the art style, and I was talking to the dev I was sitting with, people had kind of just assumed, oh, it's another Souls-like because it's kind of got that weird dark fantasy kind of thing going. Definitely not Souls-like. It is way closer to like Devil May Cry than anything. But parrying is still really big. Parrying and dodging is a big deal. You'll definitely get your shit rocked, so it is difficult. But it's really fast, fluid movement. You combo stuff with your light and strong attacks. You have a ranged attack with a bow that you can use, and you had these 2 I don't remember what they call them, like abilities where you can charge up. Like one, he just whips out a cannon and you sit there and charge it to 3 different levels and it just fucking explodes on their face, which is pretty rad. And the second one I can't remember because I kept forgetting to use it. So I was getting too focused on parrying and dodging. Like I was almost done. I was like, oh, yeah, I have this whole other thing that I could be doing. But what's one thing that's cool about it, so you have your, at least I don't know if I'm assuming when it comes out, it'll probably have more weapons at your disposal, but I had like just your regular old, I think it was just a regular old sword, and then I had like a dual wielding thing that was fast, and you could swap between them. So you had a stamina bar for when you attack or dodge or whatever, and that can get depleted, but if you swap to your other weapon, it gets it back up so you can continue your combo. So you can get some pretty lengthy combos if you want going. And it was just super fun. It looked a little jank and looked a little weird, but then he told me, is like, oh yeah, we might not come out for 3 years. And I was like, oh. Okay. But the core gameplay that I played felt really good already. So if they're already at that point with the gameplay, like...
Yeah, I mean,
sign me up.
3 years though.
2 to 3 years, yeah, he said. So we're still a ways out from seeing it, but it's rad. Like everything what I thought I was gonna see from the trailers is what I got. It was fast paced, crazy, cool. Very much looking forward to it coming out in 3 years, or 2 or 3 years
on the PlayStation 6.
It'll be a PS6 game. But I think it is an Unreal Engine 5 game, so it's going to look phenomenal whenever it does come out.
Yeah. Now, I'm always a fan of like good action hack and slash type games.
See, everything's there to be a good one. Obviously, I mean, who knows what changed between 2 years from now, but the gameplay, the combat mechanics and those foundational stuff seems to be in place. But, I also saw Cyberpunk 2077, and it was very different than what came out initially. So yeah. I can't say with certainty that's what it will be, but I'll say right now the demo is freaking cool. And I think that they said if you happen to be going to various other conventions like throughout the rest of this year, they're going to be there with demos. Like, I think they said they'll be at like Gamescom, maybe even, I don't know if they said PAX West, but like several else, like Tokyo Game Show, I'm sure, and stuff like that. And all those are public stuff, and I don't know if those will be necessarily public demos, but it seems like it might be, and I think it's the same demo that I played. I just know that here at Summer Game Fest, it was the first time they let anybody demo the game. But it was really fun, really cool. So you might get a chance to play it this year if you go to one of those conventions. I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember when I saw the trailer, right? It was a State of Play.
State of Play last year. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those like, what is it? What is...
Just came out of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like...
Because I think the Phantom Blade series is like a mobile series or something, right? I think. It is a series that got pretty popular. Like it's just not over here necessarily in the West, I don't think. Right. Because I was doing some research and I was like, what is this going on? And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure it came from some mobile series that got really popular.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's move on, chat about a new thing. Marvel Rivals. You got to play that, right?
Yeah, I did actually. Funny enough, I was like the only one in the room, but I was playing with like playtesters of the game.
Like
So
online or like in the
they were in the other, like a room across from me, but I did not see them. So I don't know who I was actually playing with. They were people.
Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth,
Yeah.
Chris
Mark
Evans.
Ruffalo.
I mean, well,
Your
okay.
classic playtester.
Right.
Yeah,
That's their side gig.
Man, I'm tired. I don't know how much I can quip. But yeah, Marvel Rivals. I think some people have had the chance to play it already. Online for a test, and I don't think it's available anymore. And we also don't know when it's coming out, but it's shaping up to be pretty good. Think 3D or third person shooter Overwatch with Marvel characters, and that's basically what you get.
So Smite.
No, it's not a MOBA.
Oh
But
yeah.
in terms of like, but in terms of like the action, like fighting with each other and ability and stuff, is that Smite like?
No, it's like Overwatch to a T, but it's not a bad thing either. Like Overwatch is fun. Have the same objectives here. A lot of the characters play very similarly, almost uncannily similar. But I'm not complaining because it looks very cool. It has a lot of familiar characters that people know and love, like I don't know, Rocket Raccoon. I like him. He can ride on Groot, by the way. Isn't that awesome?
Nice.
You have your tank, healer, and DPS roles, and I guess one thing that stood out to me was that the environment seemed a bit more interactive. Things do get destroyed in Overwatch, but I saw like half a building crumble down and like create a new like area that you can walk up on in this.
Battlefield meets Overwatch.
Yeah, and it's also a bit more chaotic with the particle effects because these are superheroes. They have huge abilities. So
Is Goku in it?
yeah, Spider-Man's in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is Marvel's Goku.
That is Marvel's Goku. Spider-Man also. Look, I got a bone to pick with whoever was playing that because he was going after me for no reason, and I'm just a lowly game journalist. All right, I haven't played this game before, and this Spider-Man, man, he was a little shit.
Yeah, Tom Holland, you hear that?
I'm after you.
This is actually Tobey Maguire.
Oh.
Okay, I like him. But like this dude flings around and you can't get him because he's so freaking small. Like his hitbox, I don't know. He looks a lot of fun. Like actually, you don't really see many characters like that in Overwatch where you can just like fling around the map with webs.
Yeah.
And in that regard, there are some pretty unique concepts going on. And like I said, I like the fact that like on Rocket you can jump on with Groot. So I'm wondering if there's any more like synergies with characters that I didn't get to see.
Cool.
Because all of these characters obviously interact with each other in Avengers and whatnot. Get to play Punisher, Rocket, as I mentioned, Scarlet Witch, aka Moira.
Didn't you say Punisher's kind of like Soldier 66?
Yeah, he does feel like that. But what's actually cool about him is that he can like switch to a shotgun. He can hop on a turret. But like his shooting gameplay very much feels like Soldier 76.
Cool.
But like if you're interested, I would say don't discount it. Take a look at it. If you're a little sick of Overwatch and want something new, I think Marvel Rivals might be the thing for you. And yeah, that rhymed.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like the Marvel brand has had some pretty good games recently. So
yeah,
it's exciting to see this go well. Yeah. So let's jump into another competitive game. I played Fatal Fury, City of Wolves.
He was really good at it too.
Yeah, no. I made 2 appointments for this one because the first appointment I was looking at the wrong controls. Because I have 2 things. I have the arcade stick controls and like smart controls if you're using a controller. So I tried to use the stick, but then only could see the controls for controllers. So that made it a little tricky to figure out, like, why doesn't this work? Clearly there's something not working here, but I couldn't figure out what it was. So then with the second appointment, I was able to look at the right controls, figure out the right inputs for the characters. I was playing Prisha, I think was her name. She's like a kickboxer.
What happened in that first appointment again?
Oh, also it was another.
The real reason we wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, there was a stress thing to it too, because behind me was definitely Max Dude, like the fighting game guy on YouTube. But he's a great guy, lovely man, but also that's some pressure. Just right behind.
Yeah. And as you're screwing it up, because he's like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably like, oh, God, one of those game journals is just taking an appointment is probably what he's thinking. This guy.
So then I the second appointment, he was also there, but he was playing for like an hour.
So he didn't get to see your redemption.
No, he was busy.
You should have asked him, Kate, can you come over here? Like, I promise, I'm not that bad. Yeah, I'm not that bad.
But so I played as Prisha, who's like a kickboxer, very rushdown type. She has a Rekka that's pretty cool. And it's pretty quick and easy to pick up once I had the right inputs to work with. There was a lot of small systems going on though that I think when I was talking to all the PR people and others around there, they were saying that yeah, like a lot of people are coming back to make more appointments because it's like there's a lot going on here and people want to chew more into what Fatal Fury is because there's two different meters going on, and one of them is just to unlock your supers, the usual stuff. But the other one was like a rev mode, and since this is my first Fatal Fury, don't quite know if that's like a historic thing or not, but it was hard to figure out exactly what that was useful for. But otherwise, there's your classic like block and just defenses, like right if you block right at the same time, you don't get knockback and all that. There's I don't know. There's some pretty cool characters so far. There's only 5 in the demo I played. They're all very stylish. Terry is weird without a hat. It's weird seeing Terry without a hat.
Terry is the Goku of Fatal Fury.
Yeah, he's the Ryu, he's the Ken, he's the
This is Terry from Smash Bros, right?
Yeah, this is Terry Bogard from Smash Bros. This is his first time in Fatal Fury.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So many characters from Smash get their own series.
It's really
after.
crazy.
That's wild.
Started all of that.
Castlevania.
Oh yeah.
Metal Gear.
Sonic.
And Mario.
Captain Falcon. Oh wait.
Fire Emblem.
Oops.
No, Fire Emblem's pushed in there on the Smash people that don't want it. You don't understand the Smash.
No,
community.
half the roster is Fire Emblem.
That's right. Forget the 20 Mario characters that are in there.
I think there are literally just as many Fire Emblem characters as Mario characters.
No.
There might be. Yes. I know we're not talking about Fatal Fury anymore, but somebody look it up and fact check me.
Yeah. But yeah, Fatal Fury is pretty cool. I think it's very stylish and artistic. It's very like almost manga-y, comic-y in its approach.
Manga.
Yes. It's not quite as like there's a certain like plastic quality to Dragon Ball Fighters, so it's not quite like that. There's a little more like depth and shading to
Talking about the visuals.
Yeah, the visuals. Yeah, in terms of like combat depth, I think so far still Fatal Fury is deeper than Fighters, but it's not a team fighting game, just a 1v1. But Fatal Fury, I mean, that could be like I thought last year was the big year for fighting games between like Tekken and Street Fighter. Well, like Tekken was earlier this year, but then Street Fighter, right, was also really big.
Mortal Kombat.
Which was
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat
came out. We forgot about it.
Yeah, and that one's all right. It's just more Mortal Kombat. But Fatal Fury could be the next kind of big fighting game to keep a lookout on.
I mean, seems like the fighting game community is like it's been eating well for a while now. There's been a lot of like super excellent fighting games that come out. Like, it's whenever I feel like any of the big franchises seem to come out, it's like, oh yeah, they're all like a 90 on OpenCritic and stuff. Or around there, just about. Yeah.
And fighting games are one of those things where it's like, if you don't ever think about or play fighting games, it's easy to forget they exist.
Yeah.
But then there's just this huge community. It's like esports and just local community. Like, there's probably a local Smash tournament, a local Street Fighter tournament somewhere near you.
Certainly is.
Yeah. Or if you go to any of the big conventions, like, there's usually some space there for fighting games.
Yep.
Yeah. But speaking of genres that also have a community you don't quite think about unless
this is a much sadder community.
I'm gonna do this again.
What?
I don't know.
Battle Aces.
Yeah, it's an RTS. So the RTS genre it was the king of the PC gaming for a while. But that's been a while. Yeah, the poor RTS folks are not eating good. No. Poor little boys and girls. Because the last big one that came out
StarCraft 2.
might be StarCraft 2. I mean, that Gray Matter thing came out that people kind of liked, but it died. Yeah, I guess they did some remakes of like Age of Empires and stuff, and then Age of Mythology is coming out or something like that. But those are just re-release of stuff they know people like. But Battle Aces is an RTS that's trying to make it a little more bite-sized, a little quicker in and out. So there's no. So for RTS people, this is. Not everybody's gonna know what I'm talking about, but for RTS people, there's no base building going on in it. You have a core building that your workers are around, so there's still resource gathering, but it's automatically done for you, and the builders are already there for you and built for you. You simply are worried about your units and a pretty simple tech upgrade tree, which is at least the faction I saw, because I think there's more factions, had two different ways. One was like your ground units upgrades, and one was your air units. Or they weren't necessarily all air units, but there's two different kinds, two different avenues to upgrade. And like if you want to expand, have further bases, it's just a click of a button and it automatically starts building it for you. You don't have to run like a worker over there. So it's really about getting into the big fights as quick as possible. And all of the standard key bindings that you'd want to use in RTS are there. Like you can make your unit selections and have groups. So you're like 1 through 5. If you want your air units as a different one to select real quick, you can quickly hit a button to select all units on the map real fast. Just get them somewhere. You always have a button to go back to the base, and it builds everything from that main base. And you can spam a bunch of stuff. And resource generation is quick. It's mostly the same with your opponent, because you get to see when they're building an expansion. So you're like, oh shit, they're gonna have more resources. I can just hit one real quick, and we'll be pretty much on the level. And matches maximum last 10 minutes, so you're never gonna have one that's longer than that unless they introduce more modes.
You did a 1v1 with the.
I played one of the devs at the end. I played a few matches. I played one of the devs. We didn't quite make it that far. He was going easy on me. I'm certain of it. Because I won. But the cool thing about it, with that 10-minute thing, I want to go back to that. He told me at 8 minutes they kill all of your workers at your main base, which means the resource generation from that's gone. So if you have not expanded to that point, or like your opponent has destroyed them or something, your resource generation is just done. So you can't really build anymore. So you just got to make the best out of what you can. And at 9 minutes, a sudden death meter comes up, kind of like a fighting game, they said, at the top. That'll be like, it might be 60% for this guy, 40% for that guy. And that's based on the amount of resources you've used versus units lost. So how efficient have you been in your units? So he said it was pretty fun around the office is that they had, when people were playtesting, is when that would come up. He's like, usually it's not all that, like sometimes like someone's like 65, 35 or whatever he said, but there's a couple times we had it was like 52, 48. He said that just ramps up the, like, everybody's being super intense about it. Right then. But they had a focus mode on there, so you didn't have to, it would take care of like, while you were fighting, you didn't necessarily have to micro as much, and like you wouldn't have one unit randomly hitting a thing way off over here on accident. It would be smart to move things over. But you can turn that off and have all the control that you want. Like pro players will want that. But in terms of like units you get to use, it's like a deck builder kind of thing. You get to choose 8 units of your loadout. And like right as you start a match, you can look at what your opponent has and try to anticipate what they may or may not be doing. Kind of thing. But there's a ton of units. They have a lot of the classic RTS abilities, like one can blink, so it's like your stalkers from StarCraft. Some that have make them attack faster and move faster, that kind of stuff. Your air units, all kinds of stuff. Like you just get in the action immediately, and it was really fun. Like I could have kept playing it.
Is this primarily competitive, or is there like a campaign?
They didn't mention the campaign, so I know it's a free-to-play game. It's going to be a free-to-play game. I think it's coming early access soon. I'd have to double-check when. But it's going to be a free-to-play game with like season pass stuff, I think. So it kind of makes it a little like, I don't know. We'll have to see how that progression stuff kind of works. But it's super fun to play and easy to get in and out of real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what's the progression like? Because the thing about these games like StarCraft and other hardcore RTSs is that there's a high skill ceiling, and this kind of takes away all that. Well, not all of that, but it seems to take away a lot of what makes these games complicated. And a lot of these RTS players, that's exactly what they like. You know, they like the complexity, they like getting better and better. And so I'm just wondering, like, is this something you could put hundreds of hours into and see, like, I don't know, have a different outcome every time, or is it going to get repetitive?
I don't think it would get repetitive necessarily with how much you can change the loadout of like the army that you use. Not only that, but like what you're talking about is the macro level stuff of behind the scenes of your base building, of your tech trees, of your different things you have going, of sneaking out to try to get like a hidden base that your enemy hasn't scouted properly yet, or something like that, or scouting your enemy to see what buildings they have going. That kind of tells you all that for you, tells you it. But this in Battle Aces, it's all about like just getting a big army or getting units out there and doing stuff like right away. So I think if you're really into the smashing people together, smashing armies together, that will always be fun, and it's going to be different because of just how there's quite a few different kind of units in it that have different abilities and different things. So I think with how bite-sized it is and how quickly it gets you into the action, like immediately, like you can get 10 units like out the door in the first 15 seconds and start doing something, go harassing their workers and that kind of thing. So I think there will be a lot of strategy to figure out in terms of unit synergy of the deck building, quote unquote, kind of aspect of it. So yes, it will not have that macro level stuff that RTS people like, but I think there's going to be a lot there for people, and it's easy for people that aren't super familiar with RTSs to jump in.
Okay.
And I think that's what also makes it appealing. It might be a little bit of an entryway into how they work because it gives you all the basic stuff, all the basic mechanics right away.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing too with the genre, right? Is that if this is your gateway into it,
Yeah.
and then you're like, I need something that hits harder. Boy, howdy, do you have at
Yeah.
least a good list of
A lot of options.
games
Yeah.
to start off with, right? Yeah.
And different avenues. Yeah. So it's Battle Aces is. I hope it does well because it's super fun, and the RTS genre could use a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, could use a little more mainstream love
Yeah.
for sure. I've got one more game I want to talk about because I only have a few minutes left here. Um, Just Crow Things. I checked this out. I saw this last PAX, but I didn't get to play it. And then saw it here at the Mix, you know, like a little party with a bunch of indie games there. And it's basically I've been calling it Untitled Crow Game. It's basically you play a shit-eating crow and just you hate
Like,
people.
literally eat shit?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
I can't rule it out. Um, and you're just here to cause chaos and probably try to burn down the world. I don't know. I mean, you probably I don't know. You may be able to, but it's basically you go to each level and you're given these quests by animals that are like, hey, you know, if you're a crow, you should go find shiny things, or like, oh no, I lost my babies. Can you find my baby rat or squirrels around the map? So you can go around, fly, grab things with your beak, and it could be like tools. So you could like grab a flamethrower or a little
Oh. As they do.
yeah, or if you and then you can also shit like actual poop. Like there's a poop button, um, and if you eat certain things, it changes the power of your poop. So you could
Nice.
eat a spicy thing and poop fire, which then if you
We
poop,
all know that.
right,
We all know that feeling.
and if you poop on a car, it blows up, and if it's near foliage, it will spread the fire.
Oh God. So these are like, this isn't like, you know, kind of silly, goofy goose shit. This is like,
No, it's goofy.
yeah, but you're like killing people.
It's goofy. It's fine.
It seems like Untitled Goose Game meets Goat Simulator.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that energy.
Okay.
Because yeah, I ate like an ice cream, so my poops would freeze people, so they'd just be frozen blocks.
Are there ever any quests be like, hey, this guy was a jerk and like kicked me or shooed me away? Like, go fuck with that guy.
Not that I found, but so one of the things is like when you collect shiny things, you have to collect shiny gold coins,
Nice.
and
Steal money.
yeah, so you have to like attack businessmen, and literally mug them for their shiny gold coins.
Well, it's like what Little Kitty Big City. You have to like trip people so they drop what they're holding and then grab it
Exactly.
and run off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can pick up a baseball bat and like just knock people over with it. It's great.
This is definitely feeling Ghost Sim vibes a bit.
Yes, it's pure chaos, pure silliness, and the developer, he's made some pretty off the wall games before too, like Lawnmower Man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in that vein, in that
Beautiful.
space. Yeah. But Just Crow Things, I'm pretty excited to see it because I mean I always love a good, like, when a game can be funny, which is very hard, but
Super
when it
hard.
can be funny, it is brilliant. So I'm excited to see more of it for sure.
That sounds great.
But I think that's a little wrap on our chat here about.
Yeah. I do want to say this is not an exhaustive list of everything we saw. We'll have more things published. We saw a ton of games here. Obviously, we saw all the big ones. And you can find more on TechRaptor about what we read up. We got some videos.
Yeah, we'll have some videos on the site, including this one. And we'll have a lot of previews that we still got to get written up. It's going to take some time.
Take a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be coming out over the next couple weeks because they gave us various dates we can and cannot talk about certain things.
Yeah, there are some things we can't even.
Yeah, for a while.
Consider talking about.
Yeah, they'll kill us.
Oh yeah, there's one.
Yeah, they know where we live.
Yeah.
They will send assassins.
Yeah. Oh, actually, what we should do too, we should say this video has been brought to you by the official Summer Game Fest logger, which is amazing. It's by Creature Comforts if you're local to LA and know what that means. But yeah, this was around like everywhere. You could get
lots of free beer around here.
There's also a Summer Games Fest pizza box, though that's kind of not easy to bring through the TSA, so unfortunately we don't have that.
Don't worry, at Ubisoft Forward, they were giving out little popcorn buckets. I got that. Don't worry, boys.
Nice.
Got that folded up, taking it home.
Perfect. Can't wait to see it in the background of your podcast. But that should do it for us. We will be back next week for another episode of the podcast, a normal one. Well, we'll see. We haven't planned it yet.
Who
but
knows?
Yeah.
I might be dead by then.
Sure.
Jesus.
That's possible, yeah. But
You
thanks
could
so
be
much. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.